Guys, welcome back to What's Not Sports. I'm your host, Will O'Connor. Um, this is another episode of Pulse Check. I hope you guys really enjoyed last week's inside story that dropped with Charlie Verco. I had a lot of fun with that one. It was really cool to hear his story, all his insight, and what was going on. If you haven't checked it out, the video, well, that episode will be linked if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this on Spotify, it's episode 61. Great story. Thanks, Charlie, for coming on. Absolutely had so much fun. Now, today, for the pulse check, we're going to keep it short and simple like we have been. A lot of you guys, I'm hearing that you're liking the quick, short formats of pulse check. So I think we'll keep that running. It's definitely a little bit easier for me. And especially when there's not too much to report on, it works out great. So if that's the way we're going, that's the way we're going. Today we got states coming this weekend for New South Wales and Queensland. In surf sports, I'm not really going to touch on it too much just because it is states and the grand finale is Aussies. But just put out a key thought or two on that one. And then I really want to dive into rugby league, talk the last round of the trial matches, my thoughts there. Let's then talk about my predictions for this season, my top 10, well, not top 10, my top 8, and, well, my ladder prediction for the regular season. And then we'll come back at the end of the season, check out how right or wrong I was. And then finish off with my tips for Vegas because, well, here we go. We are at round 1 this Sunday, and I'm excited for rugby league. So let's jump in it. Let's quickly talk about states. A little bit disappointed that it has been moved from Maroochydore to Mooloolaba due to conditions. Hopefully there will be some swell at Mooloolaba for the Queensland state guys, including myself. But who knows? Who knows what we'll get? Maybe just a heavy shory. It'll be very interesting to see there. States in Queensland probably isn't as big as what it used to be, so I don't really know what to expect. Haven't done states for a few years, got cancelled last year, so it's my last states as an age grouper. So it'll be fun, just have a good time. I don't actually know what Iron Guys are actually doing the Iron Guys. If we've got too many people missing out that are Kiwis, for example, Joe Collins, CT, because I know their New Zealand Nationals start late next week, I think it is. So if they're around for states, they could be doing it. They could be on, but I'm not 100% sure for that. I haven't even looked at live heats to see who's in it. But it'll be a fun weekend, I reckon. But we can talk a little bit more of states and, I guess, outstanding results or surprise results next week because, I just don't have too much to say about it beforehand. But I really want to dive into rugby league, so welcome to the League Loop. We're going to talk about the last trial round, who won, and then we're going to talk about my ladder for the season and then my tips for Vegas. Okay, let's run it. So the last trial match, in it we had the Warriors versus the Dolphins, the Tigers versus Penrith, the Sharks versus Raiders, Roosters versus Eels, Storm versus Titans, and the Bunnies versus Manly. So a little bit shorter round. The Warriors, I had the Dolphins tip to get the win over the Warriors. Lucky for me, they did. Tigers, Penrith. Tigers actually got the win over Penrith. I had Penrith picked. Cleary went to the sin bin in that game for high contact, but actually looked shoulder on shoulder, just a little bit of whiplash. Was facing a 2-match ban. Decided to go to the judiciary to beat it. If he didn't beat it, it was going to be a 3-match ban. If he does beat it, which he did, he gets let off and just gets fined. I'm actually really happy with that decision. He went in with no lawyer. It was just Ivan as his lawyer. Obviously worked. Really impressed with that. The fact he was able to get Nathan off. It's just the Levels podcast said it really well, and Horo said it really good. It's like we crack down on the rules of high contact, and then we make refs make bad calls like that one and say it was high contact by Cleary, which it actually, like, it's borderline, like, I don't think it was. Borderline, maybe it was. But I don't think it was. I thought it was shoulder on shoulder. It was the whiplash that made it look bad. He gets 10 in the bin. Okay, first of all, that should have been the most punishment. It then went to what it went to. He was facing two-match ban, blah, blah, blah. But we then get to the stage where they crack down on this, and then everyone gets annoyed, and then usually at Magic Round, they stop cracking down on the high contacts. Like the round before Magic Round last year, they really cracked down on sin bins and high contacts. And gosh, I wonder if I could find the episode, but it was like so many. No, I don't even have the notes for that episode on my documents, but there was like 20 sin bins in 1 week. Maybe not 20, but you get what I'm saying. There was so many sin bins in 1 week, and it was like, are we really going to be doing that again? Like, it's kind of ruining the game, and then it gets to Origin where they don't want to suspend players. Like, it gets to Magic Round where everyone's like, we don't want to see sin bins. We want to see big contacts, big hits. Only, like, sin bin someone or penalise them if it's necessary. And then it's Origins around the corner, so then you don't want to be, I guess, putting people on bans that are going to potentially make that Origin side, whether that's for New South Wales or Queensland. And the whole marketing around, like, Origin is, yes, big hits, like, all these things. I'm not saying it should be allowed to do a Joseph Suaalii and absolutely try and murder Reece Walsh. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying it comes down to, like, they then lighten up on it, and then by the time Origin's over, we're kind of into the finals almost. And it's like we never even worried about, like... So they're never even worried about the high contacts in the first place, and it's in a spot where it's actually... You're getting penalised because it is proper dangerous high contact. Why can't we just do that from the start? But then again, you get to the final series, and when there is blanket high contact that is doing damage to players, why aren't we sin-binning Reece Walsh in the grand final? Yes, he probably should have been sin-binned for the hit. I understand how Coates was falling, all of that, but it's still high contact, forceful high contact with the head. But enough of that. But my point is, like, let's treat the start of the season on how we want to finish the season and keep it like the same the whole season. That's what I've got to say about that. The Sharks versus Raiders game, I had the Raiders tips. Sharks absolutely pumped them. I'm a little bit sad about that, but in saying that, there was 8 or 9 blokes missing from our regular starting lineup for the Raiders. Like, none of our halves were in there. Kyle Weeks still resting, Hudson Young, Tom Starling, just to name a few. Just big things that happen. Storm versus Titans. Roosters versus Eels. I tipped the Roosters, but I said this will be the matchup of the weekend, and actually the Eels got the win. I'm really happy with that. I actually probably should have backed them. Would have been pretty cool to back them. Storm versus Titans. Same thing again. I said the Titans are looking good. They're running shapes that are good. That was their reserve side as well. Like, I know it was the Storm reserve side, but it was a pretty, like, Titans reserve side as well. I'm really excited to see more Lockie Ellis play at Titans. I think he's really enjoying being under Josh Hannay. It's looking good. Matty Johns has got his hand on the club. Like, we know he bought it. Well, is a co-owner or whatever. Things are looking good for the Titans, and I'm really excited to see them, and you'll see that in my tips. I'm really excited for them. And then Bunnies versus Manly. I picked the Bunnies, smashed Manly. Incredible preseason for them. Pretty sure the Eels took out the overall preseason challenge, so congratulations. But here we go. We're into the proper season now. No one cares about preseason anymore. Who wants it the most now? That is the question. We head off to Vegas for round 1, but before we talk about round 1, let's jump into my ladder. We'll start with my bottom 9, and then we'll go to the top 8. So, I do want to point out I have a lot of faith in quite a few teams, and like honestly, this will be the closest season ever because last year I kept on banging on about until like the last 4 rounds, like the Wooden, whoever was in last position, I think at the time was the Titans, they still could have technically made finals and actually had a good shot of doing that. Like the math was there, and it was actually like it wasn't impossible to do. This is going to be an even closer season. I'll look at my ladder that I've put down, and I'm really happy with it. But then there's so many teams outside of the top 8 that I have that I'm going, they could be top 8, they could be top 8, they could be top 8. And it's just kind of like I ran with my top 8, and then I kind of ran with my bottom 3. And then I was like, okay, this whole section, like from 14th to 9th, well, 14th to 16th, honestly, 14th to 5th, I was like, these guys could all be top 8 the way that, like, we've seen glimpses of them playing in the preseason or just really good things coming out from them. And then like, I was pretty locked in on my top 4. And I was really locked in on my bottom 3. So let's run through it. Let's go. And let's start off. The Wooden Spooners for next year, I'm predicting to be the Dragons. The Knights are going to hand off the Wooden Spoon to the Dragons. I think the Dragons were underutilising a player in Lockie Illis, and now he's off to the Titans, which I think he's really going to shine there and have some really great performances. I just don't know if Kyle Flanagan is that guy to be their 7. It'll be interesting, but I just don't think the Dragons will be there, in all honesty. They just won't be up to standard. Another team that have got a few, I guess, more potential, I've got in 16th, is the Knights. In saying that, they could perform really well. Like, you now have Dylan Brown. Dylan Brown will be incredible. On top of that, you've picked up a huge in my middle forwards being Trey Mooney. I absolutely have great raps for him. I've got all the time in the world for Trey because, well, he's such a great player. He was at the Raiders for a bit, and just because that starting lineup of the Raiders forwards was just so strong and is so strong, he couldn't quite get into that. And it is a loss for Canberra, losing Trey. It's just we just didn't have the space for him. I've actually got a photo of me and him. Let me try and find that. But I actually really think he will be so good for the Knights. But they're kind of in a rebuild phase. Does Ponga stay injury free? That's a big question. Here's the photo of me with Trey Mooney. Guys, I love this guy. What a weapon. And I'm actually heartbroken that he has gone to Newcastle, and that's a huge win for them. Maybe in a couple of years, Trey will like to come back to the city's capital, the country's capital, and be with us. But but the Knights in 16th, they're Wooden Spooners. There's good things and there's bad things about them. Let's just see what happens with them. In 15th, I got Manly. The loss of DCE is huge, but Jamal there, level-headed. I just don't see as much hope as I do in these other teams that are above. I haven't seen glimpses so far. I know it was just pre-season trials, but I haven't seen things going, wow, that's incredible. These guys are really going to make an impact, and I just don't feel it from them as I do with other teams. Now, we're getting into this spot where I'm going, this is where I do feel these guys could all be in the top 8, and I won't be surprised if they do. But they just haven't been there in the past. Ooh. So, they haven't been there in the past, so that maybe they're just a couple seasons off. But here we go. In 14th, I've got the Tigers. They had a lot of off-season drama with their board, but we have a look at their team, and it's incredible. What's his name? I wrote it down somewhere. This new winger for the Tigers, I believe he came from rugby union, if I've done my research correctly. Yeah, Hamasi Makasani on the weekend was incredible. And Adam Dewey in 7 is awesome. Having Jerome Luai in 6 in a position where he's more a bit free to play, almost like where he was at Penrith as a 6, and now he's playing 6 at the Tigers. Adam Dewey gets to play as 7. I really like that. There's a lot of good things that are coming out of the Tigers, and honestly, they could make the top 8. There's other people there. The next one, in 13th, a little bit of a blunder on my behalf. I definitely should have had him in my top 8, but it's the teams that I do have in my top 8 that I just go, I don't see him missing out. And it just happened that I put him down this far on the list. It's the Sharkies, and I know that's a huge call, having them finished 13th in the ladder after making a prelim final last year against the Storm. I just got no excuses about it. Kind of a stuff up on my behalf, but it's more the fact I just think these other teams are going to see more from them, and that's okay. You got to have a rogue pick here and there, but let's move on from that. 12, I've got the Cowboys. A lot of good things happening there. Obviously, you got Tommy Dearden as your halfback, and what's there not to love about Tommy? Absolute weapon on the field. If the Cowboys get any glimpses of 2025 Origin 3 Tom Dearden, the rest of the comp's screwed, and they probably win the comp. Like, imagine if Tom Dearden played like that every game. He would be the greatest of all time. Like, I'm sorry. But there's a lot of good things happening with the Cowboys in the fact that they've got Marnie. I think that's a good signing for him. It will just be interesting to see how well he gels. Oh, God, sorry, I'm tired. See, interesting how he gels, and how he's adapted to the climate of being up in North Queensland, because obviously a lot humid, a lot hotter than what it would have been down at Sydney. But yeah, I've got them at 12th. In 11th, I've got the Wars. Look, they made the finals last season. They do show good glimmers of hope every time they play. It's just I'm putting him at 11th because I don't think Metcalf will be back for round 1. Don't quote me on that. I don't know when Metcalf is back. Let's search it up right now. When will Metcalf be back? That's not Metcalf. Round 7. So you're missing 6 of the, that's your momentum area. Like, if you can pick up some wins, get on like a couple back-to-back, 3 games in a row, that's really good. And without Metcalf, I just don't see the Wars absolutely killing it. Like, Tanner Boyd, obviously good, but I just don't see it. Barnett wants to leave the Warriors due to something about family. I think he comes over to Broncos there after that, but I just think these other two teams are going to be too strong. In 10th, I've got the Bunnies. If they stay injury-free, they could potentially be a top 4 team. Fafita, I think Fafita needs to really pick up his act. He sold a little bit at the Titans, I'm going to be honest. But nonetheless, he's a fantastic forward. If Wayne Bennett's got him right. If Wayne Bennett's got him in the right position, right fitness, everything, he's going to be deadly on the field. Obviously, having Keon there still there will be incredible for him. So could be very strong forwards. Latrell really just needs to pick up his act, not be a lazy player. You got incredible players like Jai Gray coming through. Jamie Humphries is there. It's just going to be really interesting. They are such a strong side. I just think the next 9 teams are really going to be good. I think in 9th, I've got Parramatta. I think they're going to be really good, really strong. Mitch Moses and Jonah Pezzett. I think that combo is going to be insane. Iongi's there. Pabaloi is there. So much young talent for them, and they are in a rebuild phase, and they are actually looking really good. So really excited to see what Parramatta has for us this season. Now, let's run my top 8. Starting in 8th, I've got the Dolphins. Fins up. Redcliffe Dolphins, just down the road from the sunny coast. Tommy Flegler, huge to be back. Izzy Katoa is really coming into good form. He's really coming into his own. I really just like the fact that the Dolphins, they're building, and they've been close the last couple of years. I think this is their 4th year now in the comp. I think they've been in since 2022, maybe 2023. Anyway, there's a lot of big things happening. Selwyn Cobbo's there now. If he really puts his act together, he will be deadly on the wing for the Dolphins. Really excited to see. Really excited to see the Dolphins there. Now, number 7. This is a really bold pick. People are going to hate me for picking this, but I think what they're doing there at that club, rebuilding, it's looking so good for them, and that's the Titans in 7th. I think they make the top 8. I think they have an impact on the comp this season, a big one as well. Matty Johns, he's doing something there, and he's not hands-on apparently, but I definitely think he is, and I definitely think he's having a positive impact there. Josh Hannay, he's obviously having a massive impact there. Like, as I said earlier, the Titans, their reserve grade was running really good shapes in the trial matches. Like, that's insane. A lot of good things come from them. I think Jaden Campbell, he's going to step into his own in the halves. Lockie Ilias is there. He's going to be insane. Like, I think he's really going to shine there. I really think he's going to be huge for the Titans. The fact that the Dragons didn't want him, I think that's a loss on their side. I'm expecting a really big thing from the Titans, and people can call me crazy or whatever, but when it happens, and I'm going to be called a genius when it does happen. So you heard it here first. In 6, I've got the Roosters. Just the Roosters being Roosters, they're just good enough to be in the top 8. I would have loved to put them in the bottom 9. But like, they're just a solid team. DCE having that maturity in the halves is just huge. Obviously, you got Tedesco. You just got your usual guys. Like, the only thing I'm probably more looking at in the future is no Mark Nawaqanita next season. No Angus Crichton, I think it is. No Angus Crichton next season. He's going to rugby union. Rugby Australia for the World Cup. Those are big losses for him. But like, as I said, I think that's more of a future problem. I don't think that's a problem for this season. In 5th, I've got the Doggies. They finished top 4 last season. They're still growing. Honestly, Lockie Galvin is looking really good at the moment. They're just all really just working well together, I think. And they're having more time to grow. So it'll be I'm really excited, to be honest, to see what the Doggies can do. But they're not going to be the top four. The top four are going to be the big four. And yeah, here we run it. In fourth place, I've got the Broncos. Obviously, they've just come off winning a premiership. They didn't win I think it's called the International Club Challenge or the World Club Challenge the other week. But that's all right. They're a threatening team. Insane centres, insane. Just everything's insane on them. The only thing that I'm going, will this play an effect on, is obviously Hakeem Haas now is going to South next season. Adam Reynolds is retiring, and saying that, like, does that play on the mentality of Haas wants to leave? Like, why would he want to leave us? He has been here the whole time. He's gone from losing and getting a wooden spoon with us to winning a premiership. Like, he's been there for the highs. He's been there for the low of the lows, and like he really has been there for the high of highs. Does that play an impact on when you're on the field going, this guy doesn't want to be here with us next season? So that's really interesting there on that. But nonetheless, they are a quality team. I hate saying it, but they are. Reece Walsh is going to be good for him. I think his confidence is just going to keep going and going. The fact that you do have two old bulls in Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds in your halves. I love Hunty. Hunt is awesome, and he will continue to be awesome, hopefully, this season. Stay injury-free. I'll just love watching him. Good guy, good player. And then if he does go down, you do have those backups in Ezra Mam, there, Billy Walters, when he comes back from injury and all that. So, really interesting side there. But yeah, they're going to be a lock for top four, I reckon. Third place, top three, Penrith Panthers. They nearly did it last season. The fact that they nearly got to the grand final, they were insane. Let's be honest, they were insane to get where they got to last season. They just weren't good enough to get it done. And they did have a slow start to the season. I don't think we see them have a slow start this season. They've had a year now where they haven't lost that many players, if any, so they're not having to change up to their starting 17, I want to say, especially their starting 13. Cleary and Talia, Blaze, they're going to be insane. They're going to have they've had another year under their belt to gel. They've had another preseason to gel. So they're going to be insane. Obviously, Casey McLean, incredible in the centres. And then I don't want to go on and on about the Panthers, because we know how good they are, and they're going to be in that top three. Number two, they're my boys, the Milk. Viking clapping all the way. We won the minor premiership last year. Everyone was shocked by us, and we're getting doubted again, which I actually love, because we're going to be the underdogs and people aren't going to expect how good we are. But Kyle Weeks has now spent a full season in fullback. Ethan Strange has had another full season as 5'8". Yes, we've lost Jamal Fogarty and he's off to Manly, but Ricky has to have so much confidence in Ethan Sanders to be able to do this. And to do this, what I'm saying is being able to rest him and not play him through the preseason trial games, him or Ethan Strange, and let them gel together. He must have so much faith in that, and that he's so good that he's not worried. And I think that's great to have that confidence. Obviously, we got such a strong forward pack. Tarpany, Horsburgh, Papali'i, gotta love him. We love him. The Martin brothers are there. Simi Sasangi, whether he plays in the centres, comes off the bench and plays in the centres, or he plays in the forwards, our forward pack has got so much depth, it's so much strength. And then you go back another step. You got Kobe Black, who can play in the halves eventually when he comes good. There's just a lot of good things there. Our wingers, obviously Savage and Tamale, but then you've also got Jed Stewart who could be there. You've got Dane Laurie that could play fullback or probably could play wing. We know he can play halfback. We know he can play 5'8". I just love the Raiders. I just think, honestly, screw it. I would love to see him go back to back and win both minor premierships and win the comp, but I think, I'm going to do it actually. The Raiders are going to win the minor premiership and the Storm. I just love talking about the Raiders, and it gets me excited and makes me want to put them up higher, which they do deserve. But yeah, I think the Storm are going to be second on the ladder after the regular season. They're a solid team, but no Ryan Pappenhausen this season. But nonetheless, they have incredible depth. Incredible team. Obviously, Munster being there. You then have Jerome Hughes, that's who I was looking for. And then you got Nick Meaney, Jack Houth, Senses, Will Warbrick, Sua Fa'ahalogo, so many more incredible players. Like the Storm, they're just threatening. But yes, then our minor premiers are going to be the Canberra Raiders. They're going to go back to back, and then they're going to win the premiership. And then we can all sleep peacefully and feel like completed because it's done. It'll actually be done. The fact, I'll cry if they win. It's how passionate I am. After 2019, that broke me. And that's never going to happen again because I don't want to ever see Ashley Klein ref a final. I didn't say that. But that is my 2026 season predicted ladder for the regular season. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Now, we're pushing a bit for time now. We've done 30 minutes and I said it was going to be a quick one. So, let's wrap this up and let's preview Vegas, baby. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be big. I want to see a Burton bomb put through the roof at Allegiant Stadium. We got the Knights versus Cowboys and the Dogs versus Dragons. Simple here. The Knights could win, but it'll be because of Dylan Brown and Trey Mooney. Those are my big points for the Knights. Kalen Ponga obviously will have to be on his A game if he wants to do that. You got Dane Gagai there still. They could be good. They could win if they want to, but I think the Cowboys are too strong. And yeah, that's it. I just think the Cowboys are just better, the better side, and they're going to be the better side, and the better side will win, full stop. The Dogs versus Dragons game, the Doggies are going to pump the Dragons. And that's it. That's that. They are a top four side of the comp last season. The Dragons aren't quite there. And I don't think they are there yet. And they are rebuilding. And I just don't think they will be ready for a dog side that have had half a season, if that, because Galvin moved probably halfway through the season to the Doggies. To see that they've had a whole off-season and pre-season together after a lot of feathers being ruffled last season, they're going to be a good side to watch and they're going to pump the Dragons. But yeah, that's all I've got. I hope you guys enjoy this weekend watching NRL Round 1 back. I know it's only a couple games, but it's rugby league and we love rugby league. It's a game we love. So stay tuned for next week. Yeah, that's all I've got. If that's What's Not Sports, I'm out. I'm Will O'Connor, your host, and I'll see you next week.